On today's episode of Open Box Policy, we have a friend of mine on the podcast. Her name is Elizabeth. Elizabeth is interesting. She looks like Betty. She is. She looks like Betty Page. She's into all kinds of dark metal and dark arts. She's
goth.
Goth. Yeah, she's actually going
very
to...
interesting person.
She's very interesting.
I loved her as a guest.
She's a great guest. Elizabeth is the co-founder of a new dark arts and dark music and just dark...
everything.
Yeah, dark in general night in Nashville called Demon Night. It's on May 25th. If you are interested in the dark arts or anything dark in general, we want you to look it up. Elizabeth, we're going to shout her out on our Instagram. She is also the co-host of a podcast called The Three of Us Are Dying. Coincidentally, there's only 2 women on the podcast. So, you know, it's a bit of an oxymoron. With Elizabeth, we talk about lots and lots of movies. She's very into movies.
Horror
Devin
movies.
asks her a lot of good questions about some of the movies that she's into. We talk about fluff country, whatever the hell that is. And then generally the conversation just goes all over the place. We were very pleased with it.
All centered around the Demon Nights festival that's occurring on May 25th. Horror movies, different stuff like that, because she's super into horror and thrillers, stuff like that.
Specifically.
We'll drop some links on our socials. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and YouTube at OBP_raw.
And if you feel like it, shoot us an email. I don't know about your favorite horror movie or what you even thought about Elizabeth. We loved her at obppodcast@gmail.com. I have the Final Destination fear when you get behind the logs on the road. Oh my God.
Yes.
Ugh.
Or furniture.
Yes.
Or somebody just hauling anything.
Yeah.
I don't think you know this. I had a mattress in a box spring in a pickup truck, and I was hauling ass down Mac Hatcher in Franklin. And I was watching it, and it just picked up like a sail and just came straight up out of the
That happened to me, to my mattress. And the mattress, my ex-boyfriend was like, we'll tie it down in my pickup truck.
It's
and I was
the one
like,
right next to me. It was laying in the middle of Mac Hatcher.
I was like, I don't think that's going to work. And he was like, it'll be fine. And so I was behind him, and he was in front of me, and we were driving on Briley, moving to my new apartment. This was like 2008. And all of a sudden, I see it start to pick up, and I was like, here we go. And it flies up, and then a semi hits it, and the semi drags it across 3 lanes. And then, so the semi guy gets out. He just rips the mattress out of his wheel and just keeps going. It didn't even acknowledge us. Like, we had pulled over to be like, oh, shit, sorry. So now when, like, Glenn wanted to move shit to our new house, I was like, don't, please. He's like, what?
I interrupted you.
Well, you made me a face like this.
Well, because I was going to say something.
Go ahead.
That's my say something face.
Okay.
Yeah,
fucking say something.
I was going to say, have I ever told you the story about the guy that I knew that was driving a semi truck, and he said the semi truck started acting funny, and the guy next to him was like, he looked out the window and he was like, yeah, we're dragging somebody, and
somebody,
like a car, and he said the guy driving the semi truck was like, what the fuck is going on, and he said, there's a Civic stuck like under the back tires, and you're dragging her down the interstate.
It's a scene from Fast and Furious.
He said the truck was so heavy, it was so full of furniture that when he hit the Civic, it only just kind of made the truck wiggle a little bit, because it was only a couple extra 1,000 pounds basically, and it already had 60,000 pounds of furniture in it, and he was just dragging this lady straight down the interstate.
Glenn and his dad were hauling.
It's fucking insane.
When they owned a company, well, they still technically own it, called Camping Scene, and they made these like little cabins. And when they were transporting up to Wisconsin, they went under a bridge, and it was too high, and it took off the top of these like $20,000 cabins. Because the two of them didn't realize, even though it says the height of the bridge and they should know what their truck is. Him and Glenn Dennis and Glenn just.
Have you ever seen that happen, like in a drive-through line, like at McDonald's?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the worst.
I
It's the
know.
worst.
What, when someone like
Clips the top.
Yeah, when they
hits?
just can't make that clearance, and it says, you
The
know,
amount.
Oh yeah.
and there they are, and they're U-Haul or whatever, and they're like,
Yeah.
I really need this McDouble.
Yeah.
It's worth it. And they
Why don't
go
get some
through.
fucking French fries right
I've
now?
seen that in a parking
Yeah.
garage. There was this big ass dually truck, and it was like a solid 2 inches from hitting the top, but he had a CB radio antenna on top. So the CB radio antenna was just dragging the rafters as he was driving through. It was great.
Oh no.
I'm always afraid I'm going to hit the top of a parking garage in my car.
One of my
There's
friends
no
bought a
reason for it, but that's why
Your
I went to my pool. I'm like,
Yeah,
am I
she
high
doesn't
too
even have like a big
tall?
car. It's like a Saturn.
I have a Kia.
Yeah,
so
it's a Kia. Yeah.
I know, but I'm like, oh God.
It's literally 7 feet. You could put another Kia on top
I
of your
know.
Kia, and it still wouldn't drag the top.
I
But it's
know.
like,
It's
have you ever
irrational
seen
fear.
anybody? I mean, every movie you've ever seen, every TV show you've ever seen, when someone gets out of a helicopter, they always duck down like it's going to take their fucking head off.
That's not true.
It's like 12 feet above them.
You know what? There was this kids. I don't know if I want to say their last
here we go.
names.
Would
I
it
went to
suck
high
their
school.
head off? Like,
No,
would-
I went to high school with them, and their dad was very wealthy. And I can find the probably news article, but it happened like back when I was in high school. He got his head chopped off when he was getting out of his chopper.
It's impossible.
Well,
It's not.
that chopper,
It's not impossible.
It's not
Have you ever heard of the Twilight Zone story of the
blades also
film
go down
that
as it slows
there's
down.
that segment that didn't make it?
No?
Yeah, John Landis should actually be in jail.
Wait, what? You gotta
Wait.
tell us the story.
I thought that was... No, okay, tell the story, because I don't know the story. Tell the story.
Yeah, he had some like extras on set, and the safety regulations weren't adhered to, and they got killed with the helicopter propeller.
But wasn't that because, like, the helicopter, like, turned over
No,
or
you're
something?
thinking of something else. It was an
Yeah.
actual movie that happened. in.
Yeah.
But no, what she's
No,
talking
this
about
actually
never aired.
happened, and people didn't adhere to the safety regulations of the film industry, and like there's a lot of people that should still be in jail that aren't
Really?
because of that.
What are the safety regulations? You get out of a helicopter.
You duck down, which
fall
you just
down
called
into the fetal
everybody.
position.
You just called people who do that stupid.
Yeah, that's what
That's
you
a,
do.
that's a good question. What are the safety regulations for a helicopter like that?
Yeah, that's when
Don't
Trump gets
chop
out.
someone's
Like
head off.
Obama and Trump, all of them, when they get out, they're supposed to drop into the fetal position and just lay there.
Well,
then
you
the
just don't
helicopter takes
stand
away.
up.
Huh?
I guess you just don't stand up.
Well, have you ever seen those guys? Like when presidents get out of a helicopter, they're very like straight up. Like,
Hell yeah.
you know, look,
wish-
there's my dog. Here's
I
my
wish
wife.
Trump would stand up a little bit taller.
He's a bit of a slovenly
I mean, for his
man.
head to be chopped off. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's that's the kind of shit that could get the Secret Service on us. I don't know why I pointed at her.
Well, I'm not a Secret Service.
She's in all black.
She's a
I'm a
Secret Service
Trump
member
supporter over here.
employed into
Nah,
our
not me.
into our podcast.
Yeah,
bust our
she's
ass.
definitely not. Yeah,
Adam's
wouldn't that be
questionable.
awesome?
Adam's
That-
questionable.
That's what's going to end up taking open box policy to the next level. We're going to get raided by like the Secret Service,
Oh yeah.
and then it'll be like
And they'll find all our helicopter plans
Yeah.
that we have in here.
Yeah, it'll be like on like one of those TV shows that swoosh, like on tonight's episode, and it'll be like open box policy, the hit podcast.
Man, I hope it's
Well,
Dateline.
no, we'll be on
So-
TMZ.
Yeah,
Keith
Dateline.
Morrison.
We'll be on
Yeah.
fucking
Finally
TMZ,
meet Keith
dude.
Morrison.
No, here's what'll happen.
Yeah.
Here's what'll get us on the map. We'll be recording a podcast with you guys, and then Chris Hansen's gonna walk in right behind you, Adam, and be like, "I'm Chris Hansen. Adam, why are you here?" And you're like, "What?"
Yeah. You remember in 1987 when you touched somebody? Hanson is what?
No, that just.
I was like, whoa.
That was the first
Adam,
thing I could
wow,
think of. It was the
how'd that
first
go so
year
wrong?
and the first thing I could think of.
First year, and
Even if it-
first.
How old were you in 1987?
I was 8.
I was gonna say,
So
you're
you were
like 7
touching.
or
Yeah,
8.
you
we're
were
the same
touching.
age.
You were touching people at 7 or 8.
In like the let's play doctor
Yeah,
kind of way.
You gotta,
Okay.
you gotta raise them
Well,
right.
you're not going around my kids anymore, so uninvited to our house.
That's not.
Uncle Adam's here. No, he's not. Not
They
anymore.
don't. First and foremost, they don't call me Uncle Adam.
They could have, but now they won't.
Yeah.
Until you ruined it.
Yeah, you ruined it.
Yeah, ruined.
By the way, even though we do this every fucking time, we're going to announce that we have Elizabeth
We do.
on the podcast, but I want to at least say welcome
Thank you.
to the podcast. Elizabeth is she's a duo. She's part of another podcast called The Three of Us Are Dying. They just posted 2 episodes. April, my voice is I have a frog in my throat. She just posted 2 episodes April 13th. They have 2 more episodes they posted in January.
We've got another coming out this week.
And another one coming out this week, and a host of other shit that she's into.
So,
Please,
yay.
tell us about the Demon Night Fest. Tell us about everything.
Sure. Demon Night Fest is a dark art and music festival that I am
co-hosting.
Conjuring.
Conjuring.
Yeah.
I'm putting this together.
When people say conjuring, I either think about them like in a cauldron or like doing some like weird
like conjuring a
seance.
spell, you know.
It's kind of a it's kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
There.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm doing. I worked on Far Out Festival last
Really?
year.
Which is what? I don't know what Far Out.
That's a psychedelic music festival.
Okay.
And I just worked with people on that, and I had this idea that why don't we have a goth music festival like that? Would just go over so well here because we don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine, his name is Taylor Dawson, who does the monthly goth night, She's Lost Control in East Nashville. I got with him and I was like, hey, would you be interested in doing this with me and putting together a day fest? And he was like, hell yeah. So
Jamie wants a free ticket. She told
I
me.
don't want a free ticket. I'll pay to go. It just sounded neat.
Well, on her last podcast, you all or one of the podcasts that I listened to, they were talking about like the venue it has like a maximum of like 400 people, right?
Yeah, and we've got like almost 700
Holy
responses.
shit.
700
Wait, so this is
responses.
When
like-
is it and where is it?
So
and
this is May the 25th at Mercy Lounge.
Say it again,
This
Devin.
is really picked up. Okay, so I thought this was like way in the beginning stages. You're already like it has a date set and 700 people are going.
Yeah,
Adam,
we're
if
almost
you-
a month
Devin, if you
out.
do your
and
research.
Just a little bit shy of a month, and
That's
so what's
cool.
it going to consist
Maybe
of? What's going to be in Mercy Lounge?
so we will have our headliner is Relic. They're
Okay.
an industrial, like a cyberpunk band from Ohio. It's just a very rare occurrence for Relic to be anywhere in the South, so we're pretty stoked for that. Feline, if you've ever heard of her, she does synth pop.
Say it again.
Feline, like feline. but
Okay. Feline.
Lion.
See what she did there?
I like that.
She's so awesome, and she's just kind of this multifaceted artist. Like she is artwork. Like you look at her and you're like, whoa, how do you even exist as a human? Like you're not human. Like, she just has she makes all of this cool stuff and cool clothes and does all these cool photo shoots, and then she's also a musician as well. So she's going to be there. Rose Clouds, which is a industrial metal from North Carolina. Micah Moses
nice.
and Ryan
That's one of my
Holbrook
girlfriends.
Good dudes. From North
Yeah.
Carolina.
I would love it. His girlfriend is so white bread, it's ridiculous. I would love it. She is. Anna's the most white bread human I've ever met in my life. I would love it if you would play some synth pop and some industrial rock, or not industrial rock. What did you say it
Well,
was?
it's like industrial metal.
Industrial
they call it
metal.
black industrial metal.
Yeah, like turn the lights down, light some candles, and just play some
Just
of this
play
shit.
some Rose Clouds.
And then make sure you videotape so we
Honestly,
can
she
watch
would
it.
probably
Well,
be
no, I'm going in a different direction. I was going to say just get in there and like wreck each other, but
Oh, I wanted to see your reaction if she thought it was going to be
yeah,
nice.
I
and
don't
honestly,
see that.
she'd probably be
Take
kind of into it. She's like really open minded to music and experiences, especially music. She prides herself on going to Bonnaroo for 8 years in a row, I believe. This will be her 8th year.
Really?
So she's pretty excited for that. So she'll probably like that stuff. So this, what is it called again?
Demon Night Fest.
Demon Night Fest.
Yes.
Am I right?
And it's
Demon Night.
Okay.
just like a music festival, right? With okay.
Yeah, it's a music festival. Then we're also going to have some local artists
Nice.
there. Daryl Wayne is one of them. He does a lot of like darker, spooky paintings, artwork. Who else? Let's think. Jeff Bertrand. Have y'all heard of him? He's a local Nashville artist, and he does stuff along that
I've
realm
heard of
too. Pop
Bertrand.
culture, but just more of the darker pop culture. Like he just did some serial killer artwork
my
for some kind
God.
of serial killer.
Oh my
Con
Jamie
God.
Jamie just
goes
got-
balls out for serial killers.
Jamie just got wet.
He's a great artist.
Oh my
She loves
God.
serial killers.
I love
Our
murder.
sponsor is Hale Dark Aesthetics from East Nashville. So they'll be on hand with a bunch of weird stuff that
shit.
they have. Weird
Yeah, so-
shit, taxidermied stuff. And
Yeah,
we
I love
had the,
taxidermy.
Satanic Church of Nashville contact us to try to
What
get
the
Ooh.
I was like, we're leaving religion out of this.
Yeah.
really? But
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Yes,
Thank
Like,
you.
Thank you.
Definitely
I appreciate that.
it.
I felt honored.
Be dark, and I mean, Elizabeth and I both, I mean, coincidentally, we grew up like in a Church of Christ school, and you know, we were inundated with having religion and spirituality, like stuff crammed down our throat. You know,
Yes.
I definitely, like, when I was a Baptist, I felt like totally weird at church. You know what I mean? Like Elizabeth went like in the Betty Page direction. You know what I mean?
I went
Like,
into I get kicked out in junior year direction.
yeah, I didn't want to say that.
I
Elizabeth
did. I did. But
Yeah.
but I graduated and went to college afterwards.
Exactly. You know, but like she went into like the edgy badass like direction, and I went in the more like white bread like Anna direction.
Get a
But
degree.
yeah, I got a degree, I got a house, and I do nothing with my life in general. I have no animals, like no real love or anything in my life.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's
Listen,
funny how
I knew
that
this episode was going to be dark. I didn't know it was going to go that dark, though.
that
like,
dark.
That's
Yeah, like
super
His
depressing.
laugh.
yeah. So, yeah, it goes it really. I have
great.
I have a bit of a maniacal laugh.
So with this,
But it's hold on, I'm not
sorry,
done. Damn it.
fuck.
jeez.
But it's funny because I love it when people do like really dark or like goth or whatever type of stuff, and they leave fucking religion out of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like it's okay to be like dark and edgy and have shitloads of tattoos and do all that kind of stuff and not be a Satanist.
Right.
Oh,
You know
for
what I mean?
sure.
Like you don't, but everybody sees like that and they think about it. You know what I mean? They just
Oh
assume.
yeah. That it's a lot of
Yeah,
stereotypical.
it's just I know you know
Hello.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just an assumption. Anyway, Devin, now that you
Well,
got done
Adam,
interrupting,
I've already
what were you
forgot
gonna
what
say?
the fuck I was going to say. So, no, I was going to
It's
say.
classic.
So the Demon Nights Fest, it's a lot of local Nashville like artists and stuff like that. Other than the music side, you have a lot of Nashville sponsors and vendors and everything like that. That's really cool that you're bringing the localness into it, I guess.
I love that about it because I think that's missing a
Yeah.
lot in what people put together here in most festivals. And I don't, I had a lot of friends that I knew could bring their talents
Yeah,
into
for
this.
sure.
So
It's very
it
cool.
worked out really well. And it's funny because 3 of the bands are coming from Chicago. It just seems like we're having this like Chicago fest.
Yeah.
But it just coincidentally, they happen to all 3 be from Chicago. So
That's pretty cool that you're getting people from outside the state. I mean, obviously this has gotten big.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty neat.
Same here.
I'm really stoked for it.
And next year you might have to get a bigger venue.
Well,
would
that's like what.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
That's the dream. Although I'm very grateful for Mercy, Tyler Martinez that manages
Yeah.
and books there. I worked with him on Rocky Horror when I opened. I used to dance, and I opened for them twice last year, and that's how I met him. And he just hooked us up with the venue space, and he's just been incredible. Just like, we want to bring Sage and Serpent Tattoo in here to do Flash. Okay, we'll open the second bar, so she's got a sink. I'm like, all right.
That's
Damn.
awesome.
Yeah, that's
Thank
great.
you.
So
Very
you
cool.
don't dance anymore? You don't do burlesque anymore?
I haven't in probably 8 months.
Really?
9
Super
months.
multifaceted. That's
So-
like burlesque, modeling, does emceeing. I mean, she is doing the podcast. She's been a co-founder of Demon Night Fest and God knows what else. She has a movie. Is it a blog or another, like a YouTube channel?
Well, I
had.
had the YouTube channel. I did Video Governors for a while.
Yeah.
The movie review, and now I can't say specifics about the network yet, but it's a local Nashville public access network here that my co-host and best friend Abby
Yeah.
Law and I are. We're working on a movie hosting,
Yes.
horror hosting television show right now.
Oh, that's
Yes.
that's
in the
awesome.
works.
That's awesome.
It's called
Yes.
Movies
Yeah.
After
You've
Dark.
piqued my
Yeah.
interest.
Absolutely.
I'm
So
officially aroused.
The whole theme
You
is...
say public access in movies, and I'm like, yep.
I got that.
Yeah, glass of whiskey, turn the lights down.
All right, let me leave first. Okay.
A
What?
glass of whiskey.
God.
Well, I mean, I have to have whiskey. Yeah. I'm like Chris Stapleton. I mention whiskey at every podcast. Chris Stapleton mentions whiskey in every single song. That's a side note. Anyway,
I don't believe it.
he does.
I'll
Virtually.
look that up.
She's multifaceted,
I
though.
believe it if Adam's
She's-
paying attention for the whiskey, the word.
Yes. She's basically everything that we've ever wanted open box policy to be.
But better.
And better looking. Yeah.
Stop
The
it.
fact that you're like a co-founder and co-host of this this festival, I guess you would say, and it's taken off like this, where it's like 700 members. That's a pretty big deal to me. I don't even
Yeah.
know.
I am so
like,
stoked for
where
it.
where do you start for something like that? As far as you had the idea and then you knew someone that could kind of take it to the next level. I just want to know like the process, if you can release any of that on how to really gain attention to that.
It comes with knowing people in the community
Yeah.
and knowing people in the music scene here that want to redirect things outside of the fluff country that we're known for,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know, in Nashville.
Fluff country?
Yeah.
I've never
Like
heard that term.
stadium
Like the
country.
Dirks Bentley
Oh.
bullshit.
Got you, yeah.
Yeah. So
Eric Church. Fuck that guy. I can't stand that fucking guy. And who's that asshole that's on that TV show? Who he talks like
Luke-
this?
Luke
all-
Bryant?
Luke.
Lord.
Oh my
God.
God.
That's
he
stadium
is the
country
worst.
music right there.
I can't even look
Yeah.
at his face on
It's just
American
like
Idol
honk,
without.
honk, 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 honk. I cannot. It's like a fucking goose.
And
I
Keith
can't stand
Urban,
it.
who looks like, I don't
Wow.
know. Like,
Thanks,
talk
Jamie.
to your manager, lady.
Talk
Yeah.
to your
But he's a
manager,
man.
lady.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Forgive us for
I
hijacking
can't.
you.
You're fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. We should.
But I've never heard fluff country. Please
Well,
continue.
that's what I call it, fluff country. So knowing these people that want to help bring about a change or a wave and a different fest, and for like-minded folks and make it to where it's not there's a problem here in the goth scene where it's they split.
Yeah.
So there's your traditional goth kids that are snotty, that are like, oh, here comes a normie into the club and they don't need to be here.
A normie.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, please just don't. Like, welcome these people
Yeah.
in here. We want these people in here. We want these people to have fun and see that this is different and this
Yeah.
can be fun. So Taylor is of that mindset too, Taylor Dawson. And once we really started cranking out ideas, Abby Law, my best friend and my co-host and co-host for the Movies After Dark as well. She
Is that the name
the
of
show.
of the show, Movies After Dark? Okay.
Yes.
Cool name.
Thank you. We couldn't come up with anything, and when we came up with that, and then we shortened it to MAD, we were like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
for
Yes.
Yep.
But Abby is just a great organizer, and I am not.
Yep. Me
so
neither.
she just hopped on board and was organizing things for me and putting down numbers and things. And I realized that there were so many bands that would help us out for next to nothing.
Yeah.
Because they want the same thing here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, not only do they
So,
want to put
to be a part
not
of
only do they
something like
want to
that.
like put themselves out there as well, but they want that community feel between everyone there. So that's really cool.
Right. And we came close to having a really big headliner, and that fell through.
Was it My Chemical Romance?
Oh, Jesus.
It's just Gerard Way.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
by
Good.
himself.
Good.
Just
Great
Right.
guess.
That was
Yeah.
close.
And it was the 9 Inch Nails and My Chemical
Right.
Romance. We're gonna dual headline.
special guest
I knew
Reliant
Trent
K.
Reznor, and I picked up the phone and I was like,
Yeah.
hey, my dude.
Yeah, Atticus and Trent Reznor, they were all going to come down. Yeah. Yeah, you fucking dumbass.
But this it is a synth wave act, and it fell through. Just really poor communication with his management, and we just couldn't wait any longer.
Yeah.
So we ended up with this chunk of money that we knew we were going to make in profits, that we were going to pay this guy.
Yeah.
And we thought, Taylor and I, why don't we just bring some people in here that we know rule, that we know are going to do well, and that we know will do this, just for the love of it.
Yeah.
So that's where we pulled in 6 bands.
Nice.
That's awesome.
That's a really good way to do it, because they have the passion for it,
Yeah, they want to be
Yes.
there, all for the same reasons that you're throwing this thing. So, yeah, that's
So
awesome.
I'm happy. It's Relic, Future Unlimited, who are local, Rose Clouds from North Carolina, Panic Priest, Wingtips, and Feline from Chicago.
That's very cool.
So
Sounds fun.
it's gonna be. We want to make this like the biggest party Nashville has ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool.
For sure.
So this
I'm
the
gonna go.
movies after dark, just kind of switching topics. Have you always been like a huge fan of like the thriller and horror movies?
For sure. I was left alone a lot as a child.
So those are the
And
movies that you
unsupervised.
naturally drifted to.
Right. That's the part of the video store that I went to.
Yeah.
And it was because it scared me. Box covers back then, people actually put thought into into it. They wanted to make it scary. Even the shittiest films have the scariest covers. So walking into the video store as a kid and going back into the horror section was just like, oh, this stuff is terrible for me, but I want to watch it. So that's where that came from.
Nice, and that's a big thing with Halloween in my head. It's almost like another world that you create with Halloween. This creepy, scary, yet fun world. You get to dress up and be this cool stuff. But yeah, I totally get where you're coming from right there.
Well, Devin, tell her about you want to be a fucking sci-fi writer.
right?
Do you really? Oh, that's right. Philip
Yeah, he
Dick.
wants to do a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, I've always wanted to break into film. I realize how far-fetched that is, but I've always wanted to be like a writer-director on a specific genre. I've always wanted to do like these sci-fi ideas, these really cool sci-fi ideas, and really bring them to life with the screen, kind of like Philip K. Dick, but it can be dark, it can be light sci-fi. So I kind of wanted to pick your brain on that. Do you have any cool sci-fi ideas? They can be horror level as well, or thriller.
I've actually had a few, and I've had a few scripts. I've had one that I submitted to Monkey Paw a couple months ago, and I thought I'd never hear anything from them. Like, what would they want from me? But I just did it. I was just like, I have this sitting here.
Yeah.
Let me revise it and send it. And they asked me to rewrite.
Oh, nice. So
I've done that.
Yeah, they like the first
and
draft,
send it again.
obviously.
So fingers crossed that something happens with that. But with sci-fi in general, unless you're working with someone who's really good in practical effects that can do it really cheaply, or you're working with a green screen, you're limited really to what you can do on an indie level. Not to say that you couldn't, but that's my opinion. I think, like I've said, I've got a few ideas like tossed in my head that go along the lines of like sci-fi with Lovecraft overtones. So if you ever want to collab, let me know.
It's happening.
It's the beginning. Yes.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Are you big on, because you like horror movies, are you big on practical effects? Are you okay with CGI, or would you rather have practical over CGI?
I think
CGI sucks.
CGI
agree.
can suck.
CGI sucks.
Adam
CGI.
starts a
I'm a
chant,
practical
CGI.
person.
Yeah, that's going to be
grew
the name
up
of the
with
episode.
practical-
CGI sucks.
Those
I need whiskey. I'll be right back.
are you serious?
There's a fucking heart attack. Yeah.
you to
Talk
do
to
that.
Devin about CGI.
So, like Rick Baker, Tom Savini, Screaming Mad George, especially Rob Bottin, those people are my heroes. That's what I wanted to do when I grew up, and I actually ended up taking lessons for that
Oh, sweet. So you
right after high school.
Yeah, you started taking like the practical makeups and effects lessons and stuff like that. That's really cool.
And I have a really good friend. His name is Gray Creasy. He actually went to school with Adam and I. That is an amazing practical effects artist and filmmaker. He's somebody that I could get you in touch with too. He's worked on House of a Thousand Corpses, and he worked on Buffy for a while.
Okay, so.
Man.
He's good people. He's a good guy, and he's a great practical effects artist. But I think with I can't remember the name of the documentary, but there's a documentary that Keanu Reeves hosted, and it used to be on Netflix, and it was about the digital versus filming on digital versus filming on film.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, didn't they film Matrix in digital?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why. Yeah.
He was like at the forefront of all that stuff.
Yeah. And one of the things that Christopher Nolan says in that documentary, it applies to the practical versus CGI too, because he was talking about those Keebler cookies that are chewy, but there's like really no reason that they should be chewy other than they're like pumped full of chemicals or something. And he was like, these are awesome. They're great. But what's in them? You know, what made them this way? Is
anytime you eat any food that has like that really awkward consistency to it, you always know you're like this is like processed.
There's something so bad and toxic happening right there, but it's so good.
Like this is wrong.
And so I think that way about CGI to an extent, especially like when it's done well, when there's a good mix of things, when there's a mix of practical and CGI, and you don't lose the feeling that you're in that story and you're in that film with, you're following it. That's wonderful. When have y'all ever seen Point Doom? I was just talking about this with Abby on another.
No, what is it?
It's terrible. It's like this.
What is it?
Well, then let's don't fucking talk about it.
It's this Richard Grieco, Zach Galligan from Gremlins. Ice-T is in it. Andrew Dice Clay. Like all these actors.
Hold on. Basically, this is the type of movie that Devin's going to work on for the rest of his fucking life.
This is a very Point Doom.
Yeah.
It's a terrible action
You say Richard Grieco,
film.
and I'm like, yeah, there it is.
Ice-T.
But
1989.
There's a scene in it where Sebastian Bach of Skid Row, who is a bad guy.
Oh, I heard you talking about this movie on the podcast.
And he's in this cars blowing up, but the CGI is so terrible that it's hilarious when he's dying and he's coming out and he's like, and the fire's behind him, but you can tell it's just like the superimposed fire. That stuff makes the world go round to me. Like, that's wonderful when it's so bad that it's hilarious.
Yes.
And that
it has that
a solid B movie.
Yes.
It kind of creates like a cult following with it too.
There's some people in it, and
wow,
I
there's
wonder
the cast.
how
Look
they
at
got
Ice-T at the bottom
for this.
Look at him, looking like a badass with his gun.
Yeah.
Looking to the side.
Billy from Gremlins is a gangster.
Ooh.
Really?
How did that happen?
Everhart.
Yes.
Yes.
Who looks terrible
Devin,
in that film, and she's beautiful.
This is your future.
This is my future.
You're
gonna
see movies, see sci-fi movies.
Everybody wants to work on fucking Star Wars, but you're gonna work on this shit.
You're gonna work on Point Doom too.
You'll be throwing like buckets of fake blood at people, you know what I mean? And then like digitizing this fake fucking fire behind like washed up singers.
Hey, listen, because these are the movies of the future, okay? Everyone loves those B movies that are so terrible, but they embrace that they're terrible.
Yeah, they do.
Take Sharknado. Sharknado is like on the 6th installment.
Yep.
Come on, tell me.
Take Rocky fucking Horror. I mean,
For sure.
Rocky fucking Horror came out, and I mean, it was a fucking joke, and it is such, and I still to this day love it, even though it starts off like really great and then gets really fucking weird. You know what I mean? Like
man.
Rocky Horror.
Oh man,
yeah,
he's the best.
But I mean, there's so many movies that do that kind of weird shit that did come out, and they end up getting this cult following. Yeah. Name some more cult movies. You know more cult movies.
Oh
Name
gosh,
some more.
I actually
Cult movies along the same vein of Rocky Horror?
Or just
cult
classics,
horror movies, because
Yeah.
you follow us
Cult
on our
horror
Instagram, and I like see some of your posts, And a lot of those are movies that I've never even heard of. And you're like, yeah, this is a great movie.
Really?
And I'm like, well, it looks really fucking scary. I've just never heard of it.
Wow. Right now, and I'll say this because it's a VHS that I'm looking for, Street Trash is a wonderful, horrible horror film. Not even really horror film.
Is that an autobiography about Adam's life?
Fuck you, you douchebag.
Street
Yeah.
Trash.
Street trash.
Yes, that's my one dig at
There's
Adam.
Devin.
I have a mortgage. You can't say that to me. Fuck you.
That's one. Let's think. Anything Charles Band related, we could say. There's actually a new subspecies coming out. Speaking of Charles Band, that's relevant.
So when you were talking,
Subspecies is a huge cult, has a huge cult following.
Subspecies?
Mm-hmm.
nice,
It's the full moon
Writing
vampire
this
film.
down.
jotting this on a piece of paper.
How do you spell species? I'm just going to put spe and then CEES. Subspecies.
Oh my God.
I have
we
a
went
college
to the same
degree.
school.
I know.
So when you were talking about
I have had
that
2
documentary-
stiff whiskeys,
God
and I
damn
might
it,
be a
Adam.
little sorry.
You're like,
Devin,
I've had
please.
whiskey. I get to interrupt everyone. Shut the fuck up.
Sorry, Devin.
When you were talking about this
Sorry.
documentary, first you say Keanu Reeves, who I love, and then you say Christopher Nolan, who's like my favorite writer director ever, because
amazing.
he realizes the balance between practical versus CGI that you need, and he tries to do his movies as practical as he can, but he knows that he has to have some CGI. So I think I think
does.
like a good 60-40 mix in movies is a really good mix. But yeah, he's my favorite. What is your favorite? Let's just go classic horror movie. What is your favorite classic horror? What's your go-to?
My go-to, it's actually the anniversary today of the release of it, Dawn of the Dead.
Ooh, like the
Really?
original
Romero's
Dawn of the Dead?
I have 3. Yes, I have 3 films that are I couldn't live without. And that would be Romero's Dawn, Evil Dead, and Evil Dead 2, Dead
Oh,
by
I
Dawn.
love Evil Dead.
Evil Dead freaks me the fuck out. They thought
I
of some
love
weird
Evil Dead.
shit.
It's so good. I had an ex-boyfriend make me watch it, and I was like, all right, whatever. And I was like, wow. Like,
Aw.
yeah.
She mentioned this on one of her podcasts recently. She was basically talking about movies that are original, and you were specifically speaking about Blumhouse and A24 and whatnot, and you were kind of talking about what movies should have been. I think we've talked about this before. I saw a movie that to me was truly fucking terrifying. The last time that I saw a truly terrifying movie was the movie called The Entity. You remember The Entity?
Do.
And like the original Exorcist,
Oh, God,
man.
that was my first horror movie.
Hereditary, or however you pronounce it.
Hereditary is what a Blumhouse film should be,
Well,
in my opinion.
I had never heard anything about it. I didn't really know a lot about it. So I got to go into it and be totally raw and just sit on my couch and enjoy getting the shit scared out of me. The things that happen in the background, the way that they film it, the voices, the noise, everything had me completely consumed.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And
Glenn hated it.
that's what I love.
Really?
Yeah, my husband, but he's weird. I mean, he doesn't like unless it's literally a bomb
I gotta tell
exploding
y'all
within
a
the
story.
first 3 minutes of a movie. He's bored as shit.
Yeah.
Like
That's a dude
I
thing,
mean,
I guess.
it's just. But then he will pick something that I don't know. He could pick a movie about a submarine. It could just be a video of a submarine for an hour and a half, and he'd be like, "This is the best" because he picked it. But
So your husband doesn't care about movies at all. He just wants to.
which really sucks for me because I love movies. I love movies. I love murder a lot, and he doesn't really care about murder. Like I'm obsessed with murder. So
She's obsessed with serial killers and murder.
I'm going to Crime Con in New Orleans
Yeah.
in June, and it's
Damn.
like the best 4 days. I know. It's like 4 days of all crime podcasts, and Keith Morrison's going to be there. The Dateline crew, 48 Hours, is going to be
Chris
there.
Hansen. Oh, he's not
Keith
gonna
Morrison,
Be
like
Keith
the,
Moore.
He's not going to be
the
there
one who's
'cause
like,
Adam's not
he
was
is
he
my-
dead?
Yes, he's my celebrity I want to meet before he dies, because he'll die before me,
Was
most
he
likely.
bleeding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a whole Instagram account. He has a whole
You
Instagram.
found him in the
I love him.
trunk?
Tell me more.
Was
Murder.
he breathing?
Yeah, I love it.
What
So,
people
I
don't
love
know
all
about
things
Keith
murder.
Morrison is during those interviews, he has an erection
He
the
is
entire
dead.
time.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
He's rock fucking hard the whole time. Yeah. All right. So last night I texted Glenn at work and I said, "Can I please come over to your house?" Like, speaking of what, Jamie was talking about her husband and like being totally ridiculous. I ended up going over to their house. We have a few drinks. We enjoy ourselves. But you fast forward to right around the time that Jamie went to bed, which was like
1:30ish.
Yeah. I got over there like 11:30. I mean, it's not like we were up forever, but it's not like we wore Jamie down to a nub. You know what I mean? Like,
It was close.
It was close. We were having a good time. So Glenn and I you can tell her husband is one of these guys that once he starts going down a slope, it is like a snowball effect. He wants more and more and more and more and more and more. And he wants to go until the sun comes up.
And Adam doesn't really help that situation. He has been doing good in the past with just leaving when you're supposed to.
Yes.
But there's been many a times the two of them stay up until the sun basically comes up, drinking.
Yes.
Because
we can't stop.
they can't stop.
So I like straddled this horse of a fucking dog they have named Hank, and I'm grabbing onto Hank's jowls. And I don't even know what time of the morning this is. I'm grabbing his jowls, and I'm like, like I'm messing around with him. And I took my right hand, and I kind of slapped him in the side of the head. And he started wagging his tail, and he was having a good time. Because, dogs they're made out of, like, adamantium.
Yeah.
You could throw a dog off a fucking cliff, and it'll get up and wag its tail, and it'll come over and ask for more.
Yeah, bro.
It's just
Especially
weird.
with my dog. I just kick him down the stairs every now and then. It's just
all the time.
He doesn't have
Yeah.
any broken ribs or anything. I get it.
Exactly. Yeah, they're just made out. They're made out of rubber. It's one or the other.
Nah,
it's either the most.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I know what you mean.
So
though. You can like roughhouse with a dog, and
I'm
fucking
basically
love it.
trying. I'm trying to mull over the fact that I was abusing this dog. So I slapped him in the side of the head, and he thought it was funny. So I slapped him in the side of the head again, and I grabbed his jowls, and I was squeezing him, and he was loving it. So Glenn was like, maybe he's into pain. Maybe he's into pain. So Glenn put his hand out, and he kind of slapped him in the side of the head.
What the fuck are you guys doing?
Just wait.
Like, what the fuck?
And I started laughing. And you're doing that kind of thing where you're just kind of grabbing your nose and you're pushing it out of the way. So I did it. I like grabbed his nose and I pushed it out of the way, and I grabbed his ears, and he was just getting into it. He was loving every fucking second of it. So Glenn was like, "I think my dog's fucked up. I think he's in a pain." And he goes, "Smack!" And he smacked him in the side of the head, and Hank got all excited about it. So I was like, "Oh man, I think he's in a pain." We're not hurting him. We were just goofing off with him.
I think he's into pain. Let's touch him gently.
fucking
I highly
cattle
doubt
prod.
you
We were
do.
joking. We were joking around with the dog.
Yeah.
You
I know.
grab like all the scruff on a dog's neck, and like we're messing around with this.
Rough play.
Yeah, we're rough play.
Okay. Maybe you should say that. 'Cause
hey,
it
we're
sounds
just
like you guys are
wildcatting
openly
this
just
Yeah,
like.
you're right.
It sounds like you guys are like punching my dog
were.
and then laughing about it.
Yeah, we
Which
were.
Glenn wouldn't do. He
Yeah.
loves that dog more than me.
So
probably.
we're basically rough playing with the dog. And then randomly, as I'm laughing my ass off because Glenn says, like, I think my dog's in pain, Jamie comes blowing out of the bedroom.
Hell yeah,
and
I did.
Sticks her head out. She's like, "McCready, it's 2:30," and then just disappears again. It was like she just stuck her head out. She was like, "McCready, it's 2:30." Poof, and went back in. And I was like, "Time to go,
Yep.
man."
Adam knows that.
Oh, I knew.
When it gets too
One
late.
more hour.
Yeah.
One more hour, and she would have lost her
Shit.
fucking.
Fuck
One more
yeah.
hour, 30 more
Fuck
minutes.
yeah. We have a 2-year-old and a 7-year-old.
I was gonna say they've got kids, Adam.
Eh.
Oh well, you should. You know what
Eh.
you should do? You should go back and listen to the episode about my son's second birthday.
What do
You
you
should-
do?
He got
The
shit-faced.
name of the episode is
Yes.
"Happy Second Birthday, Adam is Wasted."
Yeah, he got shit. It was
I
awful.
love it. I love it.
Your
Yes.
husband got shit faced too. Thank you.
Well, then maybe he was celebrating the birth of his son. But what was your excuse?
Celebrating the birth of your son.
Celebrating the
Not
birth
your
of your
son? You don't get to.
He's
You don't get to
basically-
get shit faced on my son's birthday. Only I and Glenn can get shit faced on our kid's birthday if we
Yeah,
want
but you
to.
couldn't get shit faced because we were shit faced.
I know exactly, right? Somebody had to drive
Yeah.
and keep the kids
somebody,
alive.
Yeah, somebody had to keep the kids from dying.
Make sure my son didn't have bad memories on his second birthday. No, Adam and Glenn Daddy are fine. They're just fine.
The kids loved it. Elizabeth has 2 kids. How old are your kids?
8 and 10.
8 and 10.
Yeah. We were talking about that when you were.
Oh wait,
doing what
do
you were doing.
your
Oh,
kids
yeah.
like horror stuff too?
They do.
Ooh,
and,
passing the torch.
There's a lot of things that they can't see yet that I don't.
Yeah.
I don't allow.
You don't want them to be introduced to that much gore yet.
Right. Well, honestly, the gore and that, like, they're so used to me. They've been with me on sets, working practical effects, and they know they've been so immersed in that through me that they know how things are made.
Yeah.
So in that respect, that doesn't faze them.
Yeah.
It's the sex.
Yeah.
That bothers me.
Yep.
So if there's like a high boobage level in a film,
Is that how they rate it?
that's out the window.
Yeah.
That's how
High
I read it.
boobage.
Yeah.
So
You're a mom of 2
I have a
boys.
yeah,
category
they're
on Netflix
wonderful
called high
with
boobage.
most things, but they're my boys are kind of it's my fault because I'm emotionally immature, so that I've kind of passed that on to them, so they just can't handle it. But yeah, it's really cool too to be able to share a lot of that with them, and they are super into it.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
when we first talked about bringing you on, Adam was talking about she loves horror movies and stuff like that. I wanted to get your opinion, and this kind of goes with your last podcast episode. Do you think today's horror movies as a whole, we've run out of imagination, or we've run out of original ideas that we just have to like go back to remakes? Because you have the Halloween remake that came out last year. You have the Child's Play that's coming out. I mean,
still disgusting,
right?
and I should be in it for Hamill, and I'm not. I'm disgusted by it all, and it could be wonderful that new Child's Play, but
Why though? Like, why even do it?
I get remakes on a Thing level,
Yeah.
like the Thing, the
hold on.
Fly. You think
Like a
about things
preview.
that
or a preview,
that are reinvented like
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
Carpenter's The Thing is still one of my favorite movies.
Yes,
Did you like
we
the
watched
remake?
this together.
No.
Okay.
God, no.
All right, thank you.
But The Thing is actually a remake from another film.
Oh no, there was like an original
Right.
The Thing. Yeah.
And then The Thing was remade or whatever, or I don't know if that was a remake
Like remorphed
necessarily,
Yeah.
but it's stupid. But I think that it's warranted in some situations.
The
a
remakes
remake?
For sure.
Oh,
Some
explain
of it.
this.
With The Thing, think about that, how that was just a dumb...
Wait,
well,
are
not
you talking
dumb,
about
but
2011, The Thing?
No, I'm talking about John Carpenter's The Thing.
Like
How
okay.
that was an actual remake. That was him taking a story and being such a Howard Hawks fan and redoing this into something that it could have never been back in the whatever that film was in the late 50s, early 60s.
Gotcha.
I don't know. But think about Cronenberg's The Fly and how that was reinventing something that was cheesemo and ridiculous.
Admittedly,
I mean, still good, but
I prefer the Goldblum
exactly.
Fly.
So it's warranted in some situations, but I think that Hollywood and production studios in general want money over anything. That money far surpasses art, far surpasses originality. So they know that, let's say, Pet Sematary.
Oh yeah, that's
and
another one.
That's a cash cow train. That's a money train there.
Yeah.
You know,
I heard it was awful.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
Just disgusting.
I didn't even want to see it. I love the first one.
and
I heard it wasn't good.
it's
Me
disgusting.
too. But I love the first one so much I didn't even want to see. the
So-
remake. Gross.
Well, I mean,
I
and
think that
none of them are faithful to the book.
no,
Really.
and really, like I think about it, and especially it couldn't be, but and really, the miniseries or made for TV 2-parter of
Right.
it isn't that great if you go back to it and you revisit it.
Yeah.
But Tim Curry makes it.
Yeah, for
Tim
sure.
Curry makes it. I think that there's so many original scripts out and things being shopped out that just aren't going to get made because studios don't want to put money behind it because they don't want to lose money.
Right. They don't want to take that leap.
And that's the story of Hollywood in general.
And think about it, like back in the original era of horror movies, like true horror movies. I'm thinking of like, you know, late 60s through maybe the late 80s or something like that. All of these, you know, cult classics. They had to take like a leap of faith on those because nothing has ever been done like that, you know. But people loved it. And now the big thing is, okay, what are we going to do for like a new age of horror? We're just going to remake these old movies, you know?
Yeah.
There's a few hidden gems that have finally surfaced over the past few years.
Yeah.
That have come from like the past 10 years. Decent films that weren't widely distributed. That were wonderful. I think of stuff like, have you ever seen The Alchemist's Cookbook?
I've heard of that, actually.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's so good, and it was just made on a shoestring budget. Absolutely no name
like production
actors or
no
anything.
name actors or
no
production.
no big production, nothing. It's a kid out in a trailer in the woods for an hour and a half, basically. Wonderful film. And it's stuff like that you have to dig for. But once you do and you find things like that, have y'all seen It Follows?
Of course.
Yes.
And you mentioned this
Yes.
on your podcast. It Follows, speaking of virtually no budget, but the way that they filmed it was beautiful, and the way that they made you uncomfortable in the way that they filmed it. The lights, the colors, you know, you talked about the seasons.
Of the seasons and the mishmash of the decor even, and the clothing and
yes. And you
everything.
Don't have any idea what time it is.
No.
Because
that
there's
clamshell, whatever that was.
Yeah,
that
there's like a seashell
phone or
phone
something.
that she's using, but then there's old car. Everyone drives old cars, but they're wearing modern
And
clothing.
they have,
Gotcha.
one has an iPhone at the beginning.
Yes.
So
And that's what's so fantastic about these things is they don't need all that period specific bullshit. They just kind of make this film
They create
and they
their
throw,
own universe.
They
Right.
throw off your senses. Our senses are heightened. They're more heightened and coincidentally at the same time dulled due to the way that we engage with technology now. I mean, we have heightened and dulled senses. Whoops.
Whoa.
At the same time. Sorry. I've had one too many whiskeys. Yeah. And like that movie, It Follows, she mentioned it on her podcast. I absolutely love that
Have you
movie.
seen Let the Right One In?
Yes.
That
Well,
one is also
Well,
beautiful and
the
terrifying.
original film, I absolutely love.
Yeah, the original is good, but I have a problem. I have a problem with subtitled movies
Oh, I'm
because
talking
I
about the
stare at the fucking
Yes.
They
subtitles.
take you out of
just-
it, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm just
no,
like staring at the subtitles
saw
and not
that one.
watching the movie.
I
I
saw
don't
the
know.
original before. I saw the one with whatever her name is, Chloe
Hit
something.
Girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the original.
Chloe Grace Moretz.
Yeah, I don't love subtitles, but there are certain movies that I will watch with subtitles because they're so freaking good that you just get sucked in.
I agree. Pan's Labyrinth.
Yes.
There is another subtitle. Oh, Amelie. Not Amelie. Yeah, Amelie. Love Amelie. I'm getting off the horror track. Just movies that are subtitled. Like there are some movies that are
beautiful
just
film, though.
so gorgeous that you have to watch them.
Yeah.
But I find it difficult because I'm constantly just staring at the subtitles.
Yeah.
And I find it difficult for me to treat them as a subtitle. I'm not looking at the movie.
You're not appreciating the movie because you're too busy reading.
Yes.
I get it.
Thank you for restating exactly what I just
Hey,
said.
you know, some people they don't have the intelligence that you do at the certain type that you do. So I
What are you
have to
trying
bring
to
it
say
down.
about our audience?
I have to dole it down. Yeah. Well, I'm really trying to
Yeah.
say something about you. You shouldn't even be on this podcast, really, because you know, Jamie and I
too
are
smart.
way down here, and
We're
then
way
you're way
below
up
you.
there. So
You're right.
Man.
that's it.
You're right. I fucked this whole thing up. Yeah.
Imagine if we were to bring Elizabeth on and just do open box policy with us, and then you're out. How far our
Yeah.
podcast could reach?
Two chicks and one dick. That would be.
We would rename it Two Chicks and One Dick.
And we'd still
Yeah.
do it at Adam's house, so he would have to listen
Exactly.
to it.
I would have to quietly sit downstairs and not use my fucking internet or anything so we could make sure
You'd
that we
actually need
had.
to hook up the computer for us as
Yeah,
well.
I would have to set it all
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
So
Good
Elizabeth, if someone, so all of the remakes and everything, all of that trash these days, if someone wanted to get a taste of what you're into with a widely released horror movie within the past like 5 or so years, what would you consider them watching? What are some like new horror movies that have been released in theaters that you really liked and that you thought was original or really good story?
I don't think it's necessarily horror, but The Endless.
Oh,
It came to Belcourt. I think it's on Netflix now.
I
it
don't
is.
Think, what is it? I don't think I've heard of it.
It's just a great.
Uh-oh.
It's a good
Adam's-
movie.
Adam's
The ending
faces.
was the ending.
Well, don't ruin the ending because some of us may want to watch it. What's
Well,
it
see,
about?
what happens is they all fall in love. Everybody gets to eat,
Jesus.
and they're happy. There's a cornucopia. There's fruit that falls out of it, and yeah,
The only
I think
problem
my
with
eyes
the
are
movie,
rolled back.
though, is it
Filmmakers.
has subtitles.
It has English subtitles for the English language.
yeah, yeah. And it's just to
America.
throw you off. It just throws your senses off. The
What's
whole
it
time.
about? What's it about?
It's about these two
A
men
cult.
that have left a cult,
Okay.
and they're going back to kind of revisit things and make sure that this is not where they want to be,
Yeah.
and things just kind of get heavy.
I'm gonna
Well,
have to write that down.
The way you, I would explain it. I would explain it differently than that. Just to give someone a morsel. They were in a cult, and they left the cult a long time ago.
Right.
And they start to receive things and receive packages, and they start to see pictures.
Hey, Adam,
Huh?
you're giving it away.
No, I'm not.
I'm gonna trust
Adam
her over
reviews
you.
movies, yet he
Well, of course
spoils
you
the
will.
entire
He
movie.
just tells it everything
Yeah.
that
Stop.
happens.
Shh.
Yeah.
Stop talking about it. You're gonna ruin it for
Darth
everybody.
Vader is Luke's father. He dies in the end.
Or does he?
Or does he?
That's what you can reveal the entire plot to a movie, and you can just question whatever you say at the end, and then people will never get it. Or
Yeah.
does he?
Womp, womp, womp. Like, or does he? Yeah. It's weird. They start to think to themselves, maybe we shouldn't have left, and there are some weird things going on
And they go
that
back to the cult.
we can't explain.
Oh, well,
It's
Maybe
really, really
people-
good. And that those two filmmakers did another film that I absolutely love. That's of Lovecraftian strain.
Mhm.
It's called Spring.
Spring.
So check that out too.
For sure.
Yeah.
I was
That's
hoping
it's
you
a
would
really good
you
one.
would kind of go into the direction of what Jordan Peele is trying to do.
I think with Jordan Peele, I absolutely love what he's trying to do, but I think he misses the mark, or he has with these past two films.
In what way?
I think
Podcast over.
Adam
you
loves
disagree
Jordan
with
Peele.
Adam.
I think that
You're done. Your history.
he has wonderful ideas, and he has wonderful execution of these ideas,
I haven't seen his new
but he
one.
doesn't know how to wrap up these ideas.
Gotcha.
Okay, I can agree with
So
that.
he
So
doesn't
that's
love
my
Rasmus
problem
story.
with Jordan Peele.
This is us. You love that?
This is Us. That's a TV show.
That's a TV show. You mean
Wait.
us?
Us,
Just
Us.
us? Film? Yeah.
Wait,
okay,
no.
that's I
What
thought.
was the? I meant
Get
get
Out.
out.
Wow. Took you a bit to get there, huh?
Yeah.
I love This Is Us.
Yeah, that was
But Mandy
weird.
Moore is great.
Yeah, I meant get out. Yeah, it was a great. You made me uncomfortable. Oh, whoops! I
Oh
pulled
my
my headphone out of my hair.
God damn it.
No, I
Adam's
loved
drunk,
Get Out. I
man.
loved it. It was original. It was something that, it was something that I had never seen before, even though it was very race relations heavy, which I don't mind. It wasn't in your face. That's what I liked about it. Everyone, the way everyone reviewed it, I thought it was going to be, the whole movie was going to be about race, and it.
Well, I thought it was just going to be this giant spectacular, the second coming of Raimi. Like it was everybody just talked this up to be just amazing. And when I went to go see it at the theater, Get Out, I left just like, no.
Well, see, and that's what separates you and I. I didn't get a lot of feedback, and I didn't pay attention to a lot of it. I just went in and I saw it clean slate.
So then you were surprised.
And I formulated my own ideas. Hereditary. That's how I formulated my own ideas. And I'm afraid if everyone would have told me, like, oh, man, it's terrifying or whatever, I would have probably thought differently about it. There's a lot of movies that have been ruined for me because people have said, oh, it's amazing. And then I've gone into it and been like, this is
mediocre
shit.
bullshit.
Yeah, it's mediocre.
Yeah.
You saw Us, right? Mm-hmm. We have You Need to Leave. It's 7:30. Yeah.
I can stay a few more minutes.
Okay.
All right. Well, tell us what you thought about Us, and then we'll wrap up and free you from this.
We'll
podcast.
free you from the bondage of being at my home.
Casa de Sanderson.
Yeah, Casa de Sanderson. Yeah, yeah. That'll be what my Netflix documentary is called.
Shit.
Casa de Sanderson.
my.
Yeah.
Can't wait to watch
It's gonna
it.
be you just sitting on the couch by yourself with no one to love you.
Fuck you, Jamie.
Oh yes.
Fuck you, you asshole.
Yes, I love it.
Oh. Stop acting like you're nice to me.
Continue.
I called her honey and sweetie like 3 times today. Got
Why
you
do I- why
water.
would I
got
like
you
that?
water.
I don't like being called honey and sweetie.
And you caressed
Well,
her
tough
leg.
shit. You're in my home, honey. Ooh.
Oh my God. Anyway, let's revert over to Elizabeth before you guys start fighting.
That was funny.
Don't touch me.
Yeah. Ask her more questions.
Well, no, I was just gonna ask her, like, what did you think about
About
Us?
Us.
What do you think of the future of these thriller films that Jordan Peele is really going into the direction of?
I think he's taking risks, which I love. And I think that if he continues in this direction, the sky's the limit for what he could do. Now he's got some major funding behind him. He also
That's where he's going to go back.
He produced
Yeah.
Black Klansman,
Yes.
Yeah. Black
which is a
Klansman.
Blumhouse production, which doesn't even make sense because it's a great film.
Yeah.
It's like, how did that happen?
I think a lot of times when they get the funding is when they start pouring money into effects or music or whatever, and then it starts to get a little tainted. It gets dull.
You didn't like Us? I
I
haven't seen
actually loved Us up until the end.
it. Okay.
And
but
then at
she
the
didn't
end,
like Get Out.
I was just
Okay.
like, I checked out at the end.
Yeah.
Get Out, almost the same thing, except I didn't love it as much.
Yeah.
But I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
If I can be the biggest snob about film that you've ever seen,
Especially
Well,
in
your
that
knowledge
genre.
about it is
like the thriller.
it's
and,
yes.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of respect for Jordan Peele, and I think he's a brilliant man, and I think he's come a long way from Second City comedy to making something like Us.
Right, yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
for sure.
so I have high hopes for him. He's one that I'm actually hopeful for seeing what he does in the future.
Nice. All right. Well, let's get you out of here, Elizabeth. You got the fuck. I forgot it again. Demon Fest. What is it?
Demon Night Fest.
Is there a
Night.
website
Yeah.
somewhere
Okay.
people can
You
go?
had it all.
Yeah.
You just didn't
Yeah,
put it together.
just put it
There's
all together.
my website. It's horrormetalpunkgirl.com.
Okay.
It's also on Demon Nights on Facebook, just as Demon Night Fest.
When is
Demon
it
Night
again?
Festival.
May
May the
25th.
25th, and we're on Instagram, the Instagrams
Yeah.
as well.
How much are
Do
tickets?
you have?
Right now on the pre-sale, they're $18, I believe,
Okay.
and they'll jump to $22 within a few weeks.
All right.
Tell the listeners about your podcast. Sorry to keep cutting you off, Adam.
That's all right.
Oh, podcast, The Three of Us Are Dying. That's me and my best friend, Abby. And you can also find that on the Instagrams. We're on Podbean, and we're now on Spotify. And we'll announce through that and through other social channels when the first airing of the show will be and the
Awesome.
network.
Very cool.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for
Stoked.
coming.
Thank you.
You were
for
such a
having
fun
me.
and knowledgeable and unique guest.
Told you. I told you.
Don't take credit.
I fucking told.
It's
She's
her.
my high school friend.
Okay.
Adam was the only, and I say this seriously, was the only football player that I had any actual respect for at all at that school.
That paints a whole new picture of Adam right there.
Not to me.
Adam's a good dude.
I'm
That's
respectable.
why he brought her on. That is why he brought her on. It's like, yeah,
Exactly.
here's $20. Say I'm just a good guy.
Yeah, it costs way more than $20, bro. Yeah.
Anyway, thank you for coming on, Elizabeth. It was great.
Yes,
We hope
thank
to
you
have you
very
on
much.
again for
Having me.
sure.
Of course. Yeah, for sure.
check
We
out-
appreciate it.
Yeah, check out the Demon Knights Fest and her podcast. This is Devin.
This is Adam.
This is Jamie.